Hello, hello. This is the 135th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2223, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. And today, we're not just putting past in podcast, we're putting pizza in ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And even before we put the pizza in ourselves, because that's not so unusual, we put pizza in the oven.
And that's unusual.
That's very unusual.
Not just putting it in the oven for us, but for people in general, putting things in ovens.
Right. Not just that you and I are specifically anti-oven or something. It's that no one has ovens, because why would you have an oven? Because all the food comes from the food congos.
Mm-hmm. So...
But we found an oven.
Exactly.
Or rather, we acquired one.
We acquired one. It really pays off that I think we're 2 years. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. We're 2 years on podcast making. Yep. A lot of people around us know. Whenever somebody encounters, as they say it, trash, they think, before I throw this away.
Right, they check with us. Maybe we're interested.
Hey, this is all tech. Maybe you guys are interested. And this time we were. Mm-hmm. That was a very interesting experiment. Mm-hmm. We didn't have our Congos produce the pizza as usual. We had our Congos produce the ingredients for the pizza.
Mm-hmm. Right, and we even normally you say to a Congo, I want a pizza. You describe what type of pizza. It's generated the correct temperature, ready to go. So I did have an idea, which we could have used our Congo to make ourselves a frozen pizza, and then put that frozen pizza into the oven. But that seemed a little bit like we were missing the point,
I think so, yeah.
Exactly. So what we did instead was we had it generate the ingredients, and then we chopped and prepared the ingredients, built a pizza, and then put that pizza in the oven. Exactly.
So we had the dough printed, and then afterwards we had the tomato sauce printed, and so on. And then after this was all produced, we had the tomatoes, and the tomatoes weren't chopped, so we had to chop them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Right. We didn't request chopped tomatoes.
And then I have to say I was pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm. Likewise, yeah.
It didn't taste as awful as I thought.
Right, that's what I expected, yeah. I expected, any kind of food that's assembled by us, basically. Yeah. So I guess a person could do it if they were practiced, yeah. We have no experience with this, so I just assumed it would taste horrible. But no, it actually tasted really nice.
Yeah, and also I've never made a pizza before.
Likewise.
Myself.
Yeah.
I mean, produced hundreds, thousands
eaten,
probably.
Yeah, I've even eaten more.
But actually made it. So I've never done it before. This is the first time I did it. I think first time you did it, right? Mm-hmm. And
correct.
It turned out nice. Yeah. So either we have a talent or it's just really easy.
I think talent needs to be built. Mm-hmm. So we don't yet have that. So potentially it's an easy thing. Or we got lucky.
I mean, I'm saying easy. It took
It did take much longer than normal.
It took 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then after that we had to wait for...
Yeah, another 15 minutes for it to bake in the oven.
That was... so I'm saying easy. It was manageable.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun because we were... it was a bit more like an experiment, so it was fun to talk, while doing it and so on.
Yeah.
It's not something I'd want to do every day.
No. I mean, it's first 15 minutes of making it. I guess if you're a bit more experienced, you can handle it in 50 minutes. And a 50 minutes waiting, which means that from the moment you're hungry until the moment you have food... half an hour, 30 minutes.
That's quite a long time.
And that's, I'm not sure, first of all, you need preparation. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be hungry in 30 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to be hungry. You need to predict
the future somehow.
And also, if I'm hungry, I don't want to wait 30 minutes.
Right, and also you don't necessarily know what you'll want to eat in half an hour, even if you somehow knew you were going to be hungry.
And also, in these 30 minutes, or at least, let's say in the first 15, you can't do anything else.
Right, no.
I mean, we could...
You can talk, but exactly, your hands are in your mind is busy chopping things.
Yeah, you can't go for a walk or watch a movie or play around a wave ball.
Exactly.
So it was a really nice experiment. Mm-hmm. I now know I can do it. I know you can do it. Mm-hmm. So it.
Yeah. As long as we've got this oven, I guess we could try baking some other things in it, but we're not going to keep this oven forever. So
we can just try to put all kinds of things in the oven.
See what happens.
Put
how well they bake.
Put a banana in there in there for 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Or a tomato. Not on a pizza.
Or like a laptop, maybe.
Or a sock.
Right. So with the laptop, with the sock, I was imagining if they're wet, if something spills on them.
I like
or you step in a puddle or something.
Just to find out what happens. And maybe not 50 minutes, maybe 50.
Maybe it takes longer to dry out a laptop than it does a sock.
We can have an episode putting things in the oven.
Yeah. And describing, or maybe people will even be able to hear how that goes.
Maybe our listeners have
sound effects.
Oven tips. They can tell us.
Yeah. They can advise us
how they use their ovens. Although I'm not sure if they still had them or if they already have.
Or maybe a different type of oven than the one we have.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so if you have any oven tips for us, let us know. We have one right now. Not sure how long it's going to be there.
But for a while at least.
But we can take it to the tech drop afterwards.
Yep. Pass it along.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's our little pizza event that we had today.
And it was bigger than I expected, so I'm a little bit sleepy from eating so much. So my eyes, our listeners cannot see, and of course I must sound amazingly awake, but that's why my eyes are drooping a little bit.
That's good, or that is audio content. But today it's not about a pizza, it's about Magnet Run.
Yep.
And Magnet Run is a game. We can speak about this a little bit more in a sec.
Of course.
But the idea is we took Magnet Run as, let's say, the
base?
The base, as like the base of the games that use magnets.
Yeah.
Sports.
Right, so Magnet Run refers to a specific sport, a specific event, which we'll describe, but then also has become to be more like a generic term, just describing many, many other games that use similar technology.
It was initially it was developed for all kinds of other things, and then Magnet Run kind of popularized it as a game mechanism, and then it was inserted in all kinds of games.
So we should probably explain. So, Dirk, what is Magnet Run?
Magnet Run itself?
How does it?
Yeah, exactly. So at the base of Magnet Run lies the magnetizing technology. And there are all kinds of variations, but the basic variation is one thing sticks to another.
Yep.
And what this is, thanks to the technology, this can be anything sticking to anything. You define it.
And not permanently, importantly, not like you're sticking it with super glue, but rather that while it's magnetized, the things while they're magnetized, they stick together, and once the magnetism switched off, then they fall apart again. And
it's not like anything sticks to anything. You basically say either a specific thing or a specific kind of thing. Like right now, all clouds are magnetized.
Within a radius, not all clouds in the world, but the ones within your vicinity.
Exactly. Or right now, that specific tree is magnetized. And then the other side of the magnetizing spectrum, I guess, the other pole is then your shoe or that hover bike.
And you can say whether they are drawn to each other or repel each other.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the basic. And the thing that made it popular, Magnet Run, I've also heard it referred to as jousting. And it's the most common variation is with cars. So
flying cars, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, the cars fly past each other like they do, like they're self-controlled. So cars never bump into each other.
Yeah, exactly. They have vicinity detection.
Yeah, I guess
they can tell what's near them, and so they won't go close enough to each other. That normally they would so never bump, of course, but also not close enough necessarily to joust. And so part of the Magnet Run is people strapping themselves to the outside of the car.
Yeah, to the side.
To the side, right, horizontally.
Exactly. Two cars that are basically heading in each other's direction that would pass each other in the air between skyscrapers or whatever. And then the participants are basically magnetizing themselves to the side of the car wearing a big lance.
Yep, and the strap, the strap isn't to attach them to the car. The strap is to attach the lance to them, to keep a hold of it.
Exactly. So both of them have a lance, and the whole purpose of the game is to push the other side off
their car.
Exactly. So the magnets are strong enough to hold.
Yeah, while the car's flying along really fast, it's strong enough to hold you.
Yeah.
But when you are hit by your opponent's javelin rather, it will knock you off.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's really the basic.
Yeah, and sure, you'll fall down to the ground, but no one gets hurt because basically as you're falling, after a dramatically satisfactory period of time, then you're teleported away from the fall and so somewhere safe.
Exactly, just standard part of the game. Yeah. So the different variations, or let's say the magnet refers back to the ground, for example, and stuff like this. But that's basically it. So just imagine two cars flying past each other in the sky. On the sides, there are two people, robots, participants, whatever, magnetized to the side, trying to joust each other off. Yeah, and if it's a proper jousting, the other party falls up and you win.
Exactly.
And that's basically the standard variation. That's, for example, also the variation that we
like played. The original version of Magnetron.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also the variation that we played in our 100th episode party, for example. So the people that listen to that episode already know.
Yeah, right. They will have heard the game itself being played.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, you can make it as extravagant as you want. Like we even dressed in really proper harnesses, for example, but it can be any kind of variation.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Some people will do it on shopping trolleys as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, the basic with the easiest variation is with the cars, because they're all completely programmed. They go from A to B. You have certain, let's say, sky channels that they pass through, like invisible ones, but they always go along the same tracks. So it's kind of predictable how they pass each other.
Yeah.
But there's the variation with birds, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Large birds that flying at each other. You can also magnetize yourself to the birds. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit tricky if the bird is small and you're big.
Yeah, you need to find one more suited to your size.
Or shrink yourself down.
Or that.
I've seen kids in the forest occasionally doing this, like shrink themselves down and tie themselves to pigeons or sparrows and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. But I've also seen somebody with a big harness trying to play Magnetron on a duck. That's not working.
That's not going to work, no.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically the basics. But I mean, we just spoke about cars because it's easiest because they're covered from the side. But can be two hover vehicles, can be two space shuttles. Mm-hmm. It can actually even be in space for that matter.
Sure, true. And you obviously will be wearing a spacesuit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can work that way too.
And all basic is this magnet thing. And of course, because you can make anything magnetized. But then from that point on, first figuring out how to magnetize whatever, and then inserting it in games. And
either existing games or create new ones.
Exactly. And I think the interesting thing is that your only limitation is your fantasy, because you can program it any way you want, and you can magnetize anything you want, like whole trees or individual leaves or just tiny trees or a really big tree.
Whole forest.
And that's just nature, you know. But it can be underwater. You can have just the jellyfish fish magnetized. You can have pizza magnetized. We could have had our pizza magnetized earlier.
Could have done, yeah. And if it started to fall, say you dropped a slice and it started to fall, but then you have it that it's the type where it pushes away from the ground, then it would never actually land on the floor. You know, it would hover just above the ground, reach down, get it. It wouldn't have fallen. It wouldn't be all dirty.
I think we could have thrown pizzas at each other using this technology.
Could have done. And they would have gone super fast. Like we could use can use basically like a railgun, but with pizza. So it was super, super fast. And then, we could also be using magnet shields, you know, to reflect it, that we don't actually get hit in the face with super hot pizza slices.
Or frozen pizza.
Or frozen, which could be jagged and hurt.
But this is small stuff, but you can also have big stuff. Mountains.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Clouds. So we mentioned clouds.
Skiing down a mountain using magnetized skis is really smooth. True.
And then no matter what shape the mountain has, you're always kind of stuck to it and slide down. Like
I was meaning the other way around, where you're reflecting off of it.
Okay.
Reflecting is not the word, but basically that the skis are pushing away from the mountain.
True.
There's some tuning involved when you use these things. You know, you don't want it to be so loose in that case that you would just go flying off into the sky. It can be a combination. Actually, that's a pretty nice thing where we didn't mention this, I think, but you can combine different types of magnets. They're not really magnets. Yeah, that's just more the way it seems to behave. Anyway, so you can have some degree of pull to the ground where it really keeps you tight to the mountain, like you're describing, but then a certain amount of push that it keeps you a certain distance above the ground, above the snow.
Kind of like hovering.
Another way of hovering.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I think the most creative use I've seen is an ice cream eating contest.
Where, how was it used there?
It's basically the participants are standing really far away from a table that has all kinds of different ice cream cones on it. Like, let's say, one side for one participant, the other side for another participant. And you have to eat the ice cream as fast as possible, but you can't actually go there to get it.
Right.
So you need to basically activate the magnet. It basically, the ice cream moves towards you.
Yeah.
But you need to slow it down before it reaches to you, a little bit like telekinesis.
Yeah.
And then it's really fun to watch because if you don't time it just right, ice cream explodes in your face, basically.
Right, when it goes too far or it falls on the ground in front of you because it didn't quite have enough momentum.
Exactly. So basically the winner is the one who actually gets to eat most of the ice cream.
Some people try and not really stick with the spirit of it, where instead of actually making the ice cream float to them or whatever, they basically just try and convince someone nearby, hey, come on, bring me the ice cream,
Ah, really?
Yeah, and there's nothing against the rules of the game to do it that way, but it's not really in the spirit of it.
And there's no magnetizing involved.
Exactly. Well, at least not directly, unless maybe you promise the person, hey, if you bring me that ice cream, I'll do something for you with these magnet skills.
You can also use push magnetizing against the other opponent.
True.
That's actually
get them off balance.
Yeah, or like just move the ice cream faster towards
that too.
But yeah, so Magnet Run is actually one of the games using this technology, like ice cream contest. I'm not sure if you can call that a game, but there are a bunch of other ones, and we thought besides just speaking about Magnet Run, maybe we also briefly
the other magnet influenced games, I guess.
So you have any game from that was already there or a new one that you think really inserted the technology?
So one of the more obvious things. So because this is a sport or a thing that people who have done for, I guess, all the time there have been people running, like just racing basically. So sprinting or also long distance running, but all different kinds. Basically, you can reduce as if you can affect your own center of gravity or your own relation to gravity. It makes it feel like you're running in a lighter gravity. So maybe then you can make longer strides, go faster, stuff like that. It seems a bit. Sure, it's using the tech, but it doesn't seem so creative.
True.
Have you got any that are more creative?
In my particular case, Catch. It's I think maybe
also an older style game, but modified.
Maybe the oldest game there is. I don't know. Like I can't just imagine cavemen already playing Catch with the saber-tooth tigers
and running. But yeah,
exactly. But it's basically magnetizing yourself. To, let's say, downtown Frankfurt, to the skyscrapers, where it's just, the skyscrapers are nothing else magnetized. So you can basically jump from skyscraper to skyscraper, and then the person trying to catch has to do the same thing.
Yep.
So it's instead of just running.
It's a chase rather than a race.
Yeah, a chase rather than a race. That sounds like a proper slogan. But it's basically, you can do it on the ground, old style, just bare feet on the grass in downtown Frankfurt. Or you can do it on a hoverbike, or you can do it with magnet technology. And like magnet catches, really jumping from tree to tree or from building to building.
Right, and actually I just realized we didn't really describe how it looks visually when someone is running in this way. Closest analogy would be it looks like someone ice skating. Just there are no ice skates on their feet, and there aren't blades between them and the ground.
That's the version that you mentioned before, right?
Yeah. But so, obviously in races that use it, but also like in a game of catch, that you can be using that to move much faster to get away.
Okay. I hadn't considered it this way. I haven't played it in that variation, actually.
Okay.
It's basically for me, I haven't played it in a while.
I haven't played these games since I was a kid, so I'm extrapolating a little.
I've played it with a few friends a couple of years ago, but I can't remember the occasion. But we definitely started in Skyline Park, but then it's definitely like basically shooting from building to building. It's like magnetize this building, then that building, then that building.
By using it like a slingshot.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the same. Like the catcher does the same thing. Yeah. But I also like hide and seek, and this is basically, of course, you hide,
It really opens up the possibilities of where you can hide.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just, behind the building. It can be to the side of the building or on top of the building or at the back of the building, but then higher up and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But you can also do it within the house, but then hide on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Or hide.
Especially kids, because they're smaller, so they can really get up like in maybe the corner of the ceiling and like if there's some kind of rafters or false ceiling, work their way up there.
Or behind the ceiling lamp or in a top cupboard or exactly. If you enter a room through a door, right behind the door, but then on the ceiling, things like that. It basically, if 3D is the limit, then you can hide in many different places.
Definitely. Last one that comes to mind right now, snakes and ladders.
True.
It's like a variation. Not the small version, which you just have like on a small board in front of you, maybe on the table, but rather the huge version that's the whole side of the building. And it just uses the magnet technology, that when you're moving up the board, like to get to the top, at some point you come across a snake. Oh no, you slide down it. Yeah, okay, it's magnetism. Yeah, it switches off, and then you really for real.
Okay. So you easily, the moment you get on that particular field, magnets get activated
or deactivated, I guess.
Yeah, activated.
Like when you hit the snake one, when you get to the ladder one, sure, then it allows you to climb up.
Cool. Then it basically automates you immediately to one particular location.
Or at least what's fun with it is, that's how the game technically works. But, some variants that people play are like, okay, the magnet's switched off, but if you can keep on holding on to the board, you can stay up there. You don't have to actually come down. It's not like you're obliged to.
Cool. I haven't. Remind me to play that. That sounds like fun, actually. I think
that's it for there are many more, but let's leave it there. Yeah, we've been speaking for a while.
Yes, I thought one thing that we could point out is we just spoke about like the basic variation, like one thing magnetized to another one. There are a few more professional variations where...
When the skiing one I mentioned was some spin-off, but sorry, you say professional examples first, and then the skiing one came as a spin-off of that.
Yeah, exactly. At least the variation, at least that open the door to even more creative possibilities is that you have different color magnets that magnetize to different color objects.
Correct.
So let's say you're in the forest and there's trees and mushrooms. Like red magnets activate, pull themselves to the trees, and the blue magnets to the mushrooms. But then the color occasionally changes. So sometimes you are then pulled to trees, but then sometimes you're pulled to the mushrooms. Other people playing the other way around, and this opens up all kinds of creative possibilities. And I think the one, at least I played it in the wall here in Frankfurt a few times, is a sumo wrestling. It's like the anti-grav variation, which is already like sumo wrestling and anti-grav is already a lot of fun. But then a few years ago, they added the possibility, of course, you pay more, where your sumo suit is either red or blue, and different parts of the room, let's say different walls, occasionally get activated. So while you're sumo wrestling, floating around in anti-gravity, suddenly one of the participants is pulled to a wall. And then, kind of bumps off it because then the magnet is deactivated.
It's just a brief thing.
And that really adds a whole lot to the experience.
It does.
What you were thinking about, is that along the same...
So I mentioned just with skiing, So it's like, as an example, you'll have the red magnets pulling you close to the ground and the blue magnets pushing away, and then when they're tuned...
that's using the same...
Using the same idea.
Okay.
Like you say, originally it was for professional stuff, but by now it's also for recreation. I say, sumo wrestling's professional, of course you can do it for fun, but where that technology was first used, it was for the professional games.
And also I think with professional also meant a little bit more... I don't know, organized, like hide and seek or whatever. You can play it relatively spontaneously at home, but especially this anti-grav sumo wrestling, you need quite the technology. So that's why people usually do it in walls. I saw in the Frankfurt wall, they're building like a Takeshi's Castle track. This is supposedly...
obstacle course type thing.
Exactly. So the obstacle course, and that's also based on the, let's say, the red and blue magnet technology.
Right, that's really fun then, because you'll be running along, like through some part of the obstacle course. Again, there'll be maybe a counter down, 3, 2, 1, flip, and now the ceiling is the floor and the floor is the ceiling, that kind of thing. And you have to, when you time it well, when you're watching it and you see the people who really have practiced, they jump at just the right moment, so that as they're jumping, they do like a flip and then their feet go the other way.
Exactly. It can be something that stops your progress or kind of helps it, depending on your color. But you have to pay attention to which magnet is going to be activated. Where is this at the moment? What color am I? And so on. So it really adds a bit of, let's say, cleverness to the whole thing, because the basic thing is just an obstacle course. But
this makes it more advanced.
Definitely, yeah. And this is, but I've watched a lot of episodes. Takashi's Castle, I think, originated in Japan.
I think so.
But now they're opening it right here in Frankfurt, so you can basically play. But like with all of these obstacle courses, they stream it. Yeah, I mean, of course, everything is recorded.
I mean, you can go there in person when you've got the time and when there's seating available. But failing that, you can watch it later. I mean,
whatever. Let's say if you're waiting for your pizza when it's in the oven, you can catch like 2 episodes of Takashi's Castle, and you can say, this is the Tokyo one, this is the Rio de Janeiro one, and soon you could basically tune into the Frankfurt one, see what's going on over there.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I would say that's about it for Magnet Run and its variations.
Yeah.
But we have one listener question. Actually, we don't have a listener question. We have many listener answers.
Yeah, like exactly right. Last week, we asked folk if they could tell us more about what this YouTube thing was that a listener told us about.
Yeah.
And they were nice enough to do so.
Exactly. So it's I think it was iPod Arene telling us about it last week. And then we said, we don't know what this is. Please tell us what this is. And besides iPod Arene, many other people also answered.
Yep. And so I put together all the things and worked out like some kind of consensus or general gist.
We think we figured it out.
I think so. Shall I go ahead? Yeah. So this thing called YouTube that iPod Irene mentioned, it's a website that doesn't exist anymore, but used to be around a while ago, so 200 years ago, where people can upload videos for other people to watch. Straightforward. And okay, how does this apply to us? Well, iPod Irene herself actually has been the one doing this, where she has an iPod with all our old episodes on. The episodes we've released so far, and has been filming them playing on that iPod and uploading them to YouTube as videos for other people to watch. And at first I was a bit confused. We were both confused. Like, okay, why would you do that? It's a podcast. You just listen to it, But apparently, at least 200 years ago, people were they enjoyed much more watching videos than they did just listening to audio by itself. So even though the video is just you see the progress bar on the iPod screen going by, apparently people love that. And like to listen to Test from the Future on YouTube, which is interesting. Yeah,
I also watch an audio only.
And like I say, all they see is the progress bar going. I mean, the numbers changing slightly, and the progress bar going up.
Apparently, yeah.
And then also someone mentioned, so I figured so we can't visit that website now.
Yeah.
But since we know the URL, we may as well tell our listeners in case they want to check it out. So it's youtube.com. /@ Test from the Future.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, so thanks iPod Irene for having that nice URL for us.
But it's I feel a little bit sad. We can't visit it.
We can't visit it. Apparently, another big thing with YouTube is people leave comments, which on podcast isn't a thing, So if we could still access it, we'd be able to see all the comments people are leaving there. I mean, we get the emails. We're good in that regard, but maybe there were also good comments in there.
And judging from all the answers that we got when we asked the question last time, is a lot of our... It seems to be really popular because a lot of our listeners apparently know
YouTube in general. Yeah, exactly. They know about YouTube itself, I don't know how popular our podcast is doing on there.
I don't know.
That's beyond our knowledge.
We could ask again.
We could, but
tell us.
Let's leave it as a surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to know that.
But so thanks for telling us about this.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I'm going to say it one more time. Repeating things I think is good, youtube.com /@ Tests from the Future.
Yeah. So how did all these listeners contact us?
Yeah, right. They didn't, maybe they left comments on YouTube videos, but we don't see those.
Exactly.
The way they let us know all this stuff was by writing to us at michaellasagna5@gmail.com. And they put the number 134 in the subject line. But this week, we want them to put the number 135.
Exactly, so we know this episode also reached.
Exactly. And then, sure, they wrote telling us about what they wanted to tell us about in the email.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so people in the past, please do that.
Yeah, please.
Because we like to hear from you, and also because we like confirmation that these episodes are successfully reaching the past.
Yeah, successful tests. Okay, coming to the conclusion. Thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.